I'll get you a new nameplate if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to turn back to this question of the coho being affected. And you say in the laboratory, so where is this laboratory where the fish are being tested against the chemical?
We are doing those studies in Washington, I believe at the Washington Stormwater Center, so associated with WSU, and we have researchers at UW as well.
So I will follow up because I want to come see the testing, obviously, close by in Oregon, but we talk about salmon so much, and we talk about how much we're spending to move the small fry over the dams or around the dams, and all sorts of challenges. Obviously, but this issue is really a significant new addition to the discussion of the challenge we're facing. And so I'm wondering if we're seeing similar impacts, say, are being reported from Alaska or from the East Coast or from Norway or other places where there's salmon runs. Is this identification of the challenge occurred in Washington State, really a diligent observation that the fish were dying after a rainstorm, and like what is going on? But are we seeing hints of this happening in other areas where there are salmon?
So certainly actually being able to see the mass mortality events has been most dramatic in Washington, but we do have researchers across the country with USGS studying this phenomena and studying it on other fish, and there is research underway in Europe as well.
And what made it so easier to detect in Washington? So is it because the streams are shorter, so the adult coho are concentrated and in an urban area where they could be easily observed as opposed to 1,000 miles up the Columbia River or so forth? Why?
That's such a good question, and that's why we're conducting research and monitoring now. We don't have those answers.
Okay. And I will really want to follow up with this question of the kill mechanism, like why it's killing, because if we don't understand why it's killing them, I mean, it must be something that's common to the rainbow trout and the coho and the brook trout, or lake. I think you mentioned lake trout. That is something different if it's not affecting the Chinook. Have we had Chinook in the laboratory in these aquariums and they're not affected?
Yeah, they've been tested in the same way.
It's really fascinating. Ms. Norberg, I wanted to turn to the question of whether the tire industry in other countries is also doing research on this.
Yeah, so we are working as a global tire industry on both this issue and then the broader issue of tire and road wear particles. There is a global industry organization called the Tire Industry Project that is based in Switzerland. It is part of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. They have been studying tire and road wear particles for many years and continue that work. Because 6-PPD, really the issue originated here, we're at the tip of the spear when it comes to the 6-PPD specific issues, but we are coordinating as a global industry on this issue.
So is the primary research on this issue happening in Switzerland?
So broadly on tire and road wear particles, they continue that work, yes. And then we on 6-PPD and 6-PPDQ are really in the lead here in the U.S., but coordinating with our global counterparts.
So the scientific research that took these many dozens of chemicals, 60, 70 chemicals, and reduced it to 7 promising, that research happened in Switzerland?
No, that research happened here in the U.S., and I led that project. Yeah, and it's ongoing. Okay.
So when you get down to those 7 chemicals, and the question is, do these chemicals also have an impact on fish? Are you transporting those chemicals to Ms. Lassiter's Washington State laboratories to be tested, or how are you determining the impact?
So the work that we've been doing is pursuant to the California regulatory requirements as part of the Safer Consumer Products regulations. And that regulation is a very rigorous, very prescribed process for evaluating alternatives to identify safer chemicals and products. And so the stage one, which we've completed, is basically a screening step, and then we will continue to do more in-depth research of not only those 7 chemicals, but any others where we can garner additional research. So the ones we are moving forward don't have indications of negative impacts on salmonids or other species yet, or to date, but we'll continue that evaluation as we move forward.
So that screening process, cloakroom needs us to vote, I'm informed.
I guess so. I can
so-
make my last question quick.
So I'm going to stop, turn it over to our vice chair, co-chair, ranking member, all of the above, and then we'll adjourn the hearing. I really appreciate you all bringing your information to bear, because this situation where the high lethality of this particular chemical in regards to is a super big deal, and we've got to solve it. Thank you.